Hello fellow humans and welcome to an episode of your replays. This time we're looking at Soviet medium, or in this case light tanks, but they're pretty much the same, besides light tanks having camo rating while moving, whereas medium tanks don't. This vehicle's got 3k DPM, 310 alpha damage, 0.3 accuracy, only 5 degrees of depression, pretty damn good mobility. And armor, that's, well, I mean, it's a light tank, but remember, that's really the only thing that light tanks do differ from to most medium tanks, is that they retain their camo rating while moving, whereas medium tanks lose it. If you look at the heavy tanks, for example, there is a vast bigger difference between an AMX-50B and an E100 than there is between any light and medium tank. So essentially, in terms of their playstyle, they do play the same, and they should also be considered that. Now, what you want to do on a port bay map like this one is obviously take this side of the map and not do exactly what that guy's doing for now. But it can work out if the enemy team is also incompetent. The problem here is also that the heavies are not really taking the middle ridge, which is also something that's very, very important on this map. You want to take that ridge because otherwise the enemy gets that position up there, which the 60 TP is in now and is using horribly, and win. But that's not the case, because the 60 TP and the E100, they are screwing it up royally. And the Type 61 is just sitting down there in the ditch, well, dying and doing nothing else. So that's the thing about Blitz, is that you shouldn't ever start with light tanks or medium tanks that play like light tanks, like a Leopard 1. But to all intents and purposes, the playstyle of them is the same. The only advantage you have with a light tank is that you do have better camo rating. The scouting role that World of Tanks PC light tanks do have doesn't exist in Blitz. The maps are simply too small. So for most of the time, these vehicles play the same. If you play an Object 140, well, I was going to get to later, or this vehicle, it's going to be the exact same playstyle. So the problem with this thing is obviously it only has 5 degrees of gun depression, and 5 degrees of gun depression can be a very big limiting factor, especially if you're playing on a map that has a lot of hills. Now, in this case, the enemy isn't really paying any attention to unpronounceable player's name here. I don't know how to say that, so sorry. But yeah, the Visa is still sitting in the back and is now going to get rushed by a T95. Well, I say rushed, but it's a T95. But now the T95 is going to have the eternal problem of tank destroyers, and that is once you get tracked from behind, you probably also stay tracked from behind, especially if you don't use a multi-kit and the repair kit, which I highly recommend to use on any tank, really. And that guy just went from full HP to no HP in about half a minute. Congratulations. And now it is only a E100 left in one of the most insane farming games that I have seen in quite a while from this position over here, and which is why it is so important to take if you are a medium tank player playing on this map. This position out here is the winner of the game, and if you don't take it, you're basically setting yourself up for failure. Now the T4 started the game off pretty horribly, but he sort of did recover with 2 kills and now dying to the E100. Oh, not really, but he did recover. But it's a very nice farming game and shows why that part of Port Bay is so important. And just like that, this bush is also very important, because essentially going to a position like this at the beginning of every battle is a very good idea, right? Find yourself a position of comfort in a vehicle of comfort. In this case, the Object 140 at 3.8k DPM, 300 alpha damage, only 6 degrees of gun depression, and also excellent mobility and no armor whatsoever. So basically, my opinion on this vehicle is just buy the Leopard instead. It's better. But you see the problem here, right? This vehicle does have significantly better gun than the T100LT, but it also has higher power to weight ratio and doesn't have much more armor. So where is exactly the line between light and medium? Well, the line is literally only at the camo rating, and that is it. Nonetheless, this is a very nice play right here, and what I do recommend as well, just if the enemies are looking the one way, just go behind them, shoot them in the ass. That's how you do well in medium tanks, especially if your heavy tank friends on your team are somewhat competent. They'll just sit there and have a great time. And now, this enemy team has, well, gotten themselves into a very bad situation because they are surrounded on pretty much all sides, and that's a really bad thing. So you always want to have map control if you can, because if you have 2 equally skilled teams, if one team has the map control, the other one doesn't, well, guess who's going to win? A team with map control. So always try to get that if you can. It's not as easy to do it in a vehicle like an Option 140 that has been nerfed into the ground multiple times, and I do not recommend picking up in any form whatsoever, but it does still somewhat work anyway. And now, 2 minutes, 3,700 damage. 3v4. All that is left is a couple of enemies that are still holding on, but they're still fighting back with a kill on the Object 907. Very nice right there. And now the Sheridan is going to try to brawl with an Object 140, which is what you definitely don't want to do, because even though it's a pretty horrible vehicle now, it still has 3,800 DPM, so don't let anybody use it against you, ideally. But overall, I don't recommend getting this vehicle, but you can just have better tanks. And the main problem really is just, as well, the lack of gun depression. Because the more gun depression you have, the more positions you can play. And this Sheridan just screwed himself. He's now out. He's gonna get out reloaded. And now he's dead. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.